All right, let's call the meeting to order at 6:32. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Trustee Mason.
Here.
Trustee Bluthart.
Here.
Trustee McNeil.
Here.
Trustee Martinez.
Here.
Trustee Pierce.
Present.
Trustee Peterson. Mayor Gurt.
Present. All right. A couple acknowledgements this month. We have Father's Day coming up. We have Flag Day coming up. It is also Pride Month, and then there is Juneteenth on June 19th. We also have Sherry Madigan here to be reappointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term ending in 2029. So I will have the clerk swear you in. Oh, she's already in. No, motion and second to approve Sherry. Motion trustee Bluthart, second trustee Martinez. Roll call, please.
All in
Mason.
favor, yes.
Bluthart.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
Pierce.
Aye.
Peterson.
Yes.
I, Sherry Madigan, having been appointed as member of the Planning Commission and Food Board of Appeals for the Village of Antioch in the County of Lake, do solemnly swear from now as part of the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Planning and Zoning Commissioner to the best of my ability. Thank you.
All right, a couple other announcements. Becky Kijek, who is the assistant director, she's being sworn in by our director, Michael Peterson, as the president of the Illinois Municipal Treasurers Association. So keep that going. Keep Antioch in the forefront of the municipal finance. Dennis Heimbrodt, who is young man over there, has been here for 30 years, believe it or not. So congratulations, Dennis, on your 30-year anniversary. I think Jeff's not far behind you at 28, 27. All right. Yeah. So young bucks. We have concert update. So everybody, we've been talking about concerts and weather and weather reports. So as of right now, we are meeting at noon tomorrow to make some further decisions. Currently, the plan is to have the concert, whether it starts at 5 or a little later or adjust it. We will continually watch the weather and give updates. We do have insurance if the whole thing gets washed out, but we are working through that with staff, police, fire department, because they have some weather services announcements. So stay tuned to the announcements online. We're hoping to still have a big crowd. Let's see, we're missing one here. Oh, a big one. Girls softball. They're not here tonight, but we're gonna have to do something for them. State champions for the girls softball. I was told, and I'm gonna ask our historian, that they are the first team sport state champion in Antioch history. I'm not sure if that's valid or not.
I was corrected very quickly on my post.
Okay.
The girls cheer team won in 2020.
Okay, so second. Okay. Football team won it? A ball, okay, a team. Oh, that sounds right. A ball, not a team, yeah. A ball team.
Yeah.
Not a team, yeah.
Trust me, the cheerleaders think that it's no different.
Okay, yes, I get it. Okay, so we are gonna work on acknowledging them.
Basketball, 81 won state champions.
Really? Okay, well, I'm gonna call Mike Perone and tell him he gave me bad information.
Yeah.
All right.
81.
So, but anyways, congratulations. We're gonna work on acknowledging them
It was not 81.
at a concert, a parade, some event. So we're working through. Those girls don't quit playing. They don't quit playing softball. They're still traveling all over at softball tournaments and leagues. So we will track them down eventually. Public comment. Do we have anyone sign up for public comment? Yeah, sure. This guy knows the rule. He better know the rules by now. He's here every other week.
Everybody knows there's a very important item on the agenda tonight. I think that it was clearly stated at the last meeting, very clearly, that to just do the right thing. When you think about everything, the animosity in our village, the separation between our veteran organizations, VFW, American Legion, the village itself, the wonderful group that actually was putting the memorial together and organizing it and everything like that. The animosity and separation again, it's divided this village, our community. It's halted any further donations and support financially. You look, we even have more veterans here today. Most of you know me. I have talked to dozens and dozens of veterans in the last 2 weeks. Nobody supports putting the veteran, the memorial down in the wetland area, overshadowing the Brook Memorial. Everybody is in favor of putting this memorial back to Memorial Park. There's a reason it's named Memorial Park. It was an area that this village many years ago decided that that would be the perfect area right at the center of town. So in an effort and a hope to bring the community back together, I just ask you to reconsider your position on the location of the memorial.
Thank you. We have a couple reports. I'm going to need a motion and a second after all the reports are done, based on the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Board, and authorize the attorney to draft the necessary legislation. I'll call up our Community Development Director, Mark Janik, to discuss these 4 items.
Good evening. There's several reports to go through tonight. I think some of you have, or all of you have been here for some of my reviews on some of these. The first one is for alterations, amendments to the zoning code. There's several items on here. One is for electronic message boards. One is for window signage coverage. One is to add taverns and brew pubs as special uses in certain parts of the code. And one is for transitional core zoning district to add certain land use, industrial, light industrial to the transitional core. I've gone over the electronic message boards and the window signs coverage. Generally speaking, what we're doing here is adding things to the electronic message board, such as the colors to the background and the letters. And there's some other items in there, also changing the brightness of the lights, of the light in general. The window signage, in general, what I've done is have window signage instead of 25% and 35% in different parts of the village. It's 40% in all commercial areas. It's exactly the same. The idea being there's a lot of window signage in some stores. And if we want to regulate that, this is one way to do it. The taverns and brew pubs, we just don't have those. We have those in town, especially the taverns, but they're not listed as uses in some of our commercial areas. So in my mind, we should list them as legal uses. And then if those taverns want to come in and request special use and be legal, they can do that. And the transitional core, there's an area of transitional core that is used for industrial, that's comprehensively planned for industrial, but the transitional core doesn't allow for industrial in that area. So this is a one way of allowing land uses, and there's one coming up tonight for your consideration as well. The second report is relative to development fees. Took a look at development fees, took a look at the municipalities around Antioch. We talked about this previously. It's now at the point where I'm suggesting that we codify changes to the development fees. In most cases, it's going to reduce the fees by 30 to 40%. Then there's a report relative to the Heartland Baptist Church on South Main Street. They're requesting a electronic message board. In this particular case, there's a variation and special use. The variation is because the design of the sign, even though they submitted 2, Planning Commission looked at both of them and they suggested that the sign without the pillars attached to either side of the sign. The code says that that any electronic message board sign should have what look like pillars on the side. In this particular case and other cases, sometimes those pillars are not maybe preferable design wise. So they're asking for a variation and special use for that sign. And the last one is relative to a building, a property in the transitional core. This is right across the train tracks. It's on Depot. And the building burned down approximately 2 years ago. The owners didn't move quickly enough. So now they have to come back, or not come back, but in order to build the building, they need to meet code requirements. In this part of the code, form-based code, there are numerous items that they wouldn't be able to to achieve. So in this particular case, there's a variation necessary for them to not have to abide by all the design requirements of the transitional core. That's it. Any questions?
Questions?
I have a
Go ahead.
question about the timing of the electronic message board signs. I saw that it was going to be modified. Is that typical, the time that you proposed in here? I think it said like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. they have to be off, but it used to be end of business hours. Is that kind of the norm of what other municipalities do?
It is relative, yes, it's the norm, generally speaking. One reason why it was changed is because virtually all the electronic message boards are on after business hours.
Anyways,
And
okay.
so I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but I think just to allow them, I mean, it could be less than that, it could be 12 o'clock, at night.
That's kind of what I was
6.
thinking. I'm like 2 a.m. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I might be in the minority.
Now, don't forget, each one of these comes before you anyway as special use still. So if you don't want them on for that period of time, you can make it specific to that special use. So if you want it on from 11 or not on from 11 o'clock till 5, you can do that.
Thank you.
So you've lowered the price of building codes comparable to other communities. The fear is if we become, oh, this is where you want to build, it's a cheaper home, that this would be, I guess this is a statement more than a question for you. If it's different and we're the lowest, that we think about putting something in place if we start getting growth, that we address the number of police officers we have, so we don't get too much growth and not enough law enforcement protection.
We, good question. We're definitely not the lowest. Okay, we're still near the highest, even the way it shows. Okay, and particularly with residential development, particularly with new residential development, we are still at the high end. It's just the other development, more of the daily stuff, roofs, decks, basements, remodels, that sort of thing. That's where the large reduction in development fees is taking place. Yeah, so the new housing is not taking advantage of the lower development costs.
Questions? All right, then, I have a motion and a second for the attorney to draft up that legislation, so, oh my
Make a
God.
motion to accept all the reports as presented.
The motion.
Motion, trustee
All the
Bluthart,
reports.
second trustee Pierce. Roll call, please.
Mason,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce, Peterson.
6 voting yes, motion carries.
So the mayor, if I may.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit of legislation here that needs to be drafted. So staff will work with the village attorney. This may come back in piecemeal. I don't want to say that all of it's going to be back in 2 weeks. We got quite a bit of drafting to do. So maybe 30 days or so, but we'll bring it back to you as soon as we can. 10 days. We'll work fast.
We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 consent agenda items. One is the approval of the regular meeting minutes from May 27th. One is the approval of the waiver of fees for the library. One is the approval of an ordinance amending the liquor code. One is approval of granting a Class E bar license to Black Hawk Restaurant Group, known as Betty's Bistro. One is approval of an ordinance granting a Class E bar and tavern license to the Pizza Joint. And last one is approval of an ordinance granting a Class E bar and tavern license, Class E1 license to Corncione's DBA Black Velvet Lounge. Do I have any motions to remove any of those items for requests to remove any of those items from the consent agenda? All right, if not, I entertain a motion in a second. Waiving the second reading.
So moved, waiving the second reading.
Motion trustee McNeil, second trustee Bluthart, roll call, please.
Mason,
Yes.
Luther, McNeil.
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Voting yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration and approval of payments of accounts payable as prepared by staff in the amount of $2,056,662.14. I'll note that 1.5 million is a Public Works pay application, and a couple other
Just to break down, so there's pay application number 8, which is about $500,000, pay application number 9, which is $1 million. Typically 8 would have been paid, but we were holding it. I was holding it for review. So that's why they're both on the same bill run. Otherwise, that typically wouldn't have been the case. And then there's we'll work through a timing issue with our budget in the fiscal year. I think we originally contemplated that $500,000 would have been paid out before the May 1 fiscal year and is now into this calendar year. So there's no additional dollars, but we, from last year's ending projection and this year's budget, we'll have to address the timing of that.
Great. Any other questions on that? Otherwise, I'll take a motion in a second.
So moved.
Oh, trustee Pierce has a question.
Well, it's more of probably just a fulfillment of information. Since we're paying this year's or last year's this year, one of the reasons we do our appropriations ordinance larger is to cover a situation like this. So that we
Correct.
don't have to go back and change our appropriations.
Correct. Probably within the appropriations can be 2 or 3 times the budget dollars for these exact reasons. So I believe this initial $497,000 pay application number 8, we had initially thought that would be in last year's year-end projection. We don't think that's not the case anymore. So it's within the appropriations, but we want to be transparent. We want to bring that to you. So you will see that reflected. That's why I wanted to note that tonight.
I'm just trying to make an educational moment.
Understood. Yeah. So that's right. So for the public, when the appropriation ordinance is 2 or 3 times the budget amount, this is exactly why that's done.
And a motion in a second.
Just a motion.
Motion trustee McNeil,
Second.
second trustee Peterson, roll call, please.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
6 voting yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration and approval of an ordinance authorizing and approving a redevelopment agreement by and between the Village of Antioch and Brown 173 LLC. Both the village attorney and the administrator will present this item. We have some of the petitioners here. Is Tim here?
Yes. Tim and Larry Friedman.
Oh, they're in the back. Okay. And brief summary on high level. This has been going on for years, mainly because we've been waiting for IDOT, which we finally got some approvals. Both parties had studies done on what money would need to be contributed towards this project. I believe the developer was a 6. We were at 4. We came up a little bit more, worked through some upfront money for their infrastructure improvements because they're going to have to do some 173 in infrastructure improvements. I'll let them tell you, but permits are finally being pulled and other people are putting in LOIs. So I'll let the attorney and the administrator take it from there.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Mayor. I'll just expand upon what the mayor gave. It was as a summary, which was an excellent one. So the developer is obligated to construct, lease, and manage tens of thousands of square feet of commercial real estate real estate space on a roughly 7-acre outlot development. To ensure the project successfully enhances the local tax base, the developer must secure and has been securing high-quality sales tax generating tenants. Specifically, retail leases or sold parcels must comprise more than a majority of the outlot's total square footage. The developer is entirely responsible for executing critical infrastructure improvements. This includes overseeing previously constructed Brown Street improvements and completing upcoming Illinois Route 173 modifications to alleviate regional watershed flooding. So let's talk about some of the things that the developer has to do. To remain in compliance with and qualify for the financial reimbursements, the developer must adhere to a strict schedule and performance deliveries, fulfilling the following operational mandates: submitting all building and zoning applications, fees, and comprehensive construction plans no later than December the 31st, 2026, and the project is entitled. The infrastructure deadline: complete all public infrastructure improvements within 12 months of the agreement's effective date. Construction commencement: begin physical construction in the outlot development within 6 months of the effective date or within 90 days of IDOT permit issuance. Project completion: achieve substantial completion evidenced by active certificates of occupancy for outlets 1 through 3 within 24 months and complete the remainder of the overall site within 36 months. All that being said is, and in summary, with staff's help and the village board's leadership headed up by the mayor, we are holding them to a very strict timeline. They are receiving a financial incentive, but they need to perform to be able to do this. The developer must independently secure all necessary equity and lending financing, maintain commercial liability and builder's risk insurance, and comply with the Illinois Prevailing Wage Act. Keep the property free of mechanics liens and contribute to offset legal and engineering expenses. Lawyers are the worst people in the world, and we do charge fees. They're picking up our fees to offset some of that, to alleviate some of the burden on the village. The mayor talked about the financial incentives. It's a 3-part incentive. There is an infrastructure incentive that's dedicated to funding the public infrastructure improvements. It's triggered upon full completion of the project. And the village's acceptance and verified commencement of the building and constructions on the 3 outlots that was previously discussed. There's a general fund contingency based upon the fact of overages on the construction contracts, and there's a pay-as-you-go incentive. So remember that. It's pay-as-you-go. They get it because they are working on the site and they are generating money on the site. So it's using property tax increments, sales tax increments, and retail project. Crucially, the village has no obligation to disperse any funds until certificates of occupancy are actively issued for the 3 retailers, The funding mechanism for the infrastructure was shifted from a traditional bond debt issuance to a direct cash infusion using legally available village funds. The idea is that we will reduce costs and expedite the completion of their project. So in other words, non-fancy lawyer terms, they're going to get this done faster by the way the village has decided to structure this. We thought that was a very good way to do it because we want them to get it done faster, because then they'll start generating sales tax, which is an offset on our private real estate tax obligation on the homeowners. Later, that infusion will be reimbursed for the TIF that gets pulled through the tax increment financing, the incentive, the real estate taxes that gets pulled through them being able to lease up those properties. It'll make a faster transaction. It'll be more efficient and remove the requirement for banks. We don't want to deal with any more banks than we necessarily have to, of course, and associated financing fees. It streamlines the execution of this project and it eliminates a lot of red tape, quite frankly. We can talk about any other provisions that we want to, ladies and gentlemen of the board, but developers are here. And I would just like to commend the administrator and the mayor for allowing us to work on this transaction, which obviously will get us some well-needed retail uses on the 173 corridor. One other thing, we would ask for approval. There's some cleanup language. Again, lawyers couldn't, you want to mess up a deal, get a bunch of lawyers involved in it. So we want to have the approval of this subject to minimum changes from attorney review. So there'll be like some little verbiage changes about the means, but not the ends that I talked about here. So the deal terms. The mayor did a better job than I did of explaining it, but that's what we're trying to do here tonight. We strongly recommend the approval of this and are very proud to have worked on this transaction. Thank you.
Questions, comments from the board?
Yes.
Trustee Mason?
So that whole area, I want to make it, should be fair business practices. So if they're doing the project over there, we're one individual, love the guy, by the way, but I mean, you can't do what they're gonna do. And then you got one person parking cars on easements, monkey see, monkey do. That's gotta be cleaned up. That, if they're gonna do what they're gonna do over there, we gotta stop this before it becomes a bully, because if they're gonna do it, Coons is gonna do it, Dodge will do it. And it should just be fair across the board. Everybody's in front, and we should give those, because if they need to get stuff in and out and they can't because they got a bunch of cars, that makes zero sense.
Trustee, that's an excellent point. If the mayor will let me
Yep.
address it. They have to, and they know that they need to comply with all applicable laws. Just because you're part of an RDA, what we do, and the Developers Council can comment on this too, but we reserve all of our police power rights. So for everyone who has an economic incentive agreement or redevelopment agreement, we still make them comply with the laws. Just because you get a dollar doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. So we will make sure, and it's an enforcement issue as much as it is a contracting issue, probably more so. We will make sure that's taken care of. I know. But remember, even those parties in the neighboring area that have those incentive agreements, they have to adhere to the law or their incentives get reviewed.
That's gonna get out of control.
I think having activity out there, which has now started, I think is exactly what we need to help staff with the enforcement. You know, there was nothing going on. The guy kind of took
You
over.
can already
Now
see it
Yeah.
proliferating with cars parked beyond the telephone pole. So if one does it, the other's gonna do it. And it's gonna become a dangerous situation, especially if you go to Ford and get an oil change pulling out, and they park in their cars, we can't see left or right.
Yeah, we've been we did talk about that internally, so we think this will help us. We'll address it.
Any other comments about this?
They do want to give an update.
Oh yeah, you guys came all the way up here. You might as well give an update. It's the yeah.
No.
It's the first time we've all been in the same room, not arguing or negotiating. So you might as well come up here.
Yeah, and thank you to the village attorney's assistance with negotiating, and Tim, Larry, your team, as we went through this negotiation.
And they stuck good with this for a long time. Like I said, there were a lot of challenges at the state level with this. So there are many touch and go times where we're happy this is finally here.
Good evening.
Yeah.
I'm Larry Friedman. I'm the attorney for the petitioner. Tim is going to talk in a moment, but I got up just to respond to the comment about the parking of the cars. We will talk. That's not us. That's the
No,
owner.
that's not, no.
That's the key. No, but I know the village is going to talk, and we will too. I think as we get started, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve here. But he's going to be a good neighbor, and we clearly are. So we'll talk to him.
Person, I just,
Oh, sure. No, it's a good point.
I'll talk.
So we'll
Yeah.
talk to him about it.
I just saw that.
Okay.
That's-
But why don't you bring the board up to date, Tim? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, how's everybody doing? I'm Tim Knutson. I'm here on behalf of the owners of Brown 173 LLC. I do have some good news, and I appreciate all the comments said so far, and the description of the project. We started this probably 3-4 years ago when we sold 7 acres to Mark, and in agreement with him and his Kia dealership, we were able to do some initial mass grading, improve Brown Avenue. That took a lot of doing, and then also doing a lot of storm detention for the site. The good news is we worked through the challenges with IDOT in getting our new entrance, which will be across from Lincoln Avenue. It'll remove all of our other entries that are along 173, so you'll really just see the Brown Avenue and the Lincoln Avenue entry once we cut that new curb cut. We're going to start, and we did the Kia. This was phase 1. Phase 2 is these next 6 outlots. We have 3 signed leases and development agreements with these retailers ready to go. The first one, which will be directly west of Kia, is Valvoline. The next outlot is a mixed-use building. Right now, we have Tropical Smoothie Cafe. We have Illinois Bone and Joint. And then we have one more still available, a smaller unit in there that we think will lease up real fast. And then the next building, which will be right off the new Lincoln Avenue entry, is a Chipotle that we'll be building. And we've actually already broken ground on both the mixed-use building and the Chipotle. And then we also have 2 LOIs for lots 5 and 6, or 4 and 5, sorry. And we expect that that'll be really exciting news as well for the village. So we greatly appreciate all the support and working with us and getting through IDOT. IDOT has been quite a challenge. So you guys, if you have any questions, or I hope that's exciting news.
Yes. Any questions?
Well, my bone and joints good.
Yeah, you're gonna be the best customer. Look at the board. Look at this guy. Holy shit. Yeah, just bring him. Yeah.
I don't think they did this one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys very much. So, then I'll ask for, motion and seconds.
So moved.
Motion trustee Bluthart.
Second.
Trustee, Pierce, do we have to waive the second reading on this? Yes. Waiving the second reading. Waiving the second reading
And subject to attorney review.
and subject to attorney
Right.
review. Yep.
Right.
All right. We have a motion and a second waiving the second reading. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Martinez?
Yes.
Pierce? Peterson?
Yes.
6 voting yes, motion carries. All right. The next two items I'm going to introduce together. Thank you, guys.
so much.
See you soon. Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience. Yes. Introduce, the next two items are, consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the village to evaluate and assess alternative sites for the Antioch Veterans Memorial Project in the village of Antioch. And the second one is consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the village to break ground on the Antioch Veterans Memorial Project in the village of Illinois. Before I have a motion and a second on this, part of the reason I'm so off tonight is because I've been looking at weather reports since 4 o'clock this morning and thinking about that. And also this item has taken up a lot of my brain space, and I think about this all the time, and many of us. So, I don't want to make light of it, but hopefully we'll get this thing done before the Bears decide if they're going to build a stadium here or somewhere else. So we're kind of feel like that same thing. We've been talking about this for at least 3 years and 20 years before that. And however we started and got here, I know there's been many different opinions, some personality conflicts that have arisen out of it. And as the mayor, I try and block all that out the best I can, although a lot of times that's not possible. But my job here is to, in my opinion, is to block out the noise and obviously do what's best for the village long term, what's best for the constituents, what's best for the taxpayers, and what's best for the veterans and the whole community. That being said, I do not want to diminish at all what the Antioch Veteran Memorial Committee has done. They have worked their tails off for 2.5 years. So whatever direction this goes, this is still going to be very much their project, and acknowledge all the hard work that they've put into this. I do want to say that I do want one caveat to this motion, and that would be I worked very, very hard with Josh Bowler and companies to make sure that there was minimal tax impact on the taxpayers in this project. And some people say, well, we're spending all this money on concerts. I also work very hard in that regard to make sure these concerts are paid for by sponsors, almost 100%, if not more. So when we're paying $30,000, $40,000 for a band, that's not coming out of taxpayer pockets. That's coming from people like Raymond Chevrolet or Vicelli Law. So I'm very conscious of that. So I am in favor of moving this forward for the evaluation of this property at the site. But I would request that we modify it, that we give whatever groups, because lots of groups, whether charitable groups, individuals, have said, hey, we got money, we'll pay for it, that within a certain finite period of time, we get those costs covered, whether it be in-kind donations, whether it be personal donations, whether it be group donations. We didn't budget this $30,000, and not that we couldn't afford it, but I just personally feel that's the right thing to do, because this is what we did the first time. And, I would say that, in my opinion, I would say that I would give people or individuals or whomever the contractors might be that would donate their time until the second meeting in July to either show that they have that lined up, we have the reports, or then we got to continue to move down our current path. That's my opinion. Now, obviously, the board has their say. I don't think that's going to be much of a challenge. Manhart did do all the engineering the first time for free, and I'm not really comfortable in saying maybe they will do it for free again. I don't know. Maybe HR Green or somebody else will do it. But I just want this to have minimal, if no, impact on the taxpayers over changing course. So that is my statement on this, and that's how I'd like to amend this moving forward with a finite date on this. Again, we're not going to be like the state and the Bears and going back and forth. We got to get this thing done. So my deadline on this is July 2nd meeting, which would maybe be July 24th or something like that.
Yep.
26th. And I think we put in here up to $30,000. It might be 5, it might be 10, it might be 0 if, some of our local contractors say, hey, we'll help with the engineering. So with that, do I ask for a motion a second on these two items, or how do you want to handle this?
I mean, the first item, we would, the first item, the approval of the first item obviously affects the second item, right? Just naturally. So I guess your amendment as requested would clearly be in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. So we would just ask for, let's just take it right in order.
Okay.
We would ask for a motion and a second for item 9.
And this is the caveat to that. This is also
Yeah,
not,
this is- but then on that.
not AVM money, that, not talking about that money. I'm talking about outside money.
Yeah.
So just so staff's clear, so if this motion passes, that staff would work with contractors and use resources that are needed as described in the resolution to conduct a feasibility study, as we're calling it, for the tank parcel, because we don't know if it's where exactly on that site, right? So we would then, as part of that feasibility, be able to come back to you and maybe show 1 or 2 locations within the vicinity of the tank and a design, and then have an estimate of the construction costs associated with that. But in order to complete that, we think we need a number around not to exceed $30,000. Now that's not going to be village dollars. Those will be
If the motion
funds.
passes.
Yeah, if the motion passes, those will be funds from outside, but not village funds and not the Veterans Committee funds. And we have till July 22nd to raise those dollars or get the in-kind contributions to get that done. And then I would estimate that if that happened and we gathered those dollars and we conducted that feasibility, we think that's about a 3-month or so process before we'd be able to come back to you with the outcome of that feasibility study. Maybe sooner, but I don't want to think that's, a 2-week type turnaround. So
And number 9 is just to consider the location of the tank. Is that?
it's more than it's the resources to study. Yeah.
What is the location? Point.
Oh, versus other locations.
Yeah, it's the location of the tank.
The
The
tank.
tank.
Toss-
Number
yeah,
would
yeah.
be-
It's the Tofton Orchard location, correct?
Right.
Mayor, what Andrew just said is different than what you said. Because Andrew said they would have until the end of July to raise the money, and then he would have 90 days to do the study. You had said you wanted it determined in the next 30 days. So that's a big difference.
No, I
I need to
understand.
clarify that.
What I would, and I'm sorry if I didn't, that's the first I heard a time frame on it.
Mhm.
I'm just saying, like, I would want the commitments no later than this date that these are getting done. I didn't know if it takes a month or 2 weeks or 3 months. So that's the first time I'm hearing those. I'm just saying the commitments, the dollars, like, we have the resources and we know this guy's going to do it for free. This guy's going to be 8,000 and we have the funds there to support that. That's,
I think we're consistent. So we need 30 days, or we need till July 22nd to secure what we have described as, we need $30,000, not to exceed $30,000 to complete the feasibility study. And the mayor is saying that commitment needs to be done by July 22nd, right?
Yeah.
And so if that is achieved by July 22nd, then what I'm saying is to engineer it, to do the soil borings, to do ground penetrating radar, to find if there's a foundation in there, to get that work done. I think it's 2 to 3 months.
and I'm saying if we don't have those commitments, then we start issuing the permits for the current location.
If I understand it properly, the permits have been issued, but just not given to the AVM at this point?
Yeah, permits are ready to go. We have it's a village permit that's required. It's in our system, ready to be issued.
Shouldn't we be having a motion on the floor before we continue an in-depth discussion?
We could present it. I mean, I understood your point, but we could present an item before it comes through.
I don't care, I'm just.
Yeah.
So this motion would be to move with your
Move
caveat.
move forward with the
tank
study.
location.
With the study, timeline not to exceed the second July meeting, which I think is the 24th or 22nd, one of those days.
That's what Trustee Mason was asking, though. This isn't to move the location.
No.
This is just to do the study and report back to the.
Right.
Where?
On the tank
Toft
site.
and Orchard, yeah,
Where?
on
The
the,
tank?
yeah, the Toft and Orchard site.
Yeah, so I can make that motion to do the study to have it moved over to the tank location.
Yeah, that's what the study is, yeah.
Yeah,
Financial.
with the financial.
Period till
period,
July
right.
22nd,
I can
2026.
make that motion to do the study based off of what the vets wanna do.
Yeah,
That would
and that's the intent.
Yeah, because it's just the only thing that's there is maybe a couple hair dryers from the wells when that house was there.
I was just gonna ask you that.
So, if, correct me if I'm wrong, the motion on the floor is to authorize the village to evaluate and assess alternative sites for the Antioch Veterans Memorial Project in the village of Antioch, Illinois, with the caveat that the costs are covered by donations, which are pledged by the second meeting on July 22nd.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I would even specify, you could specify the location.
Yeah.
You would just say, the
Orchard and-
the orchard,
Yeah.
the
Assess the.
the village owned property at Orchard and Toft,
Yeah.
yes. That gives us the whole area to look at.
Is the motion gonna include the time frame of 90 days that you mentioned as well, or is that not gonna be a part of it?
No, that's just my estimation. If we come back, if we secure the donations to complete the feasibility, I'm just informing the public and the board that I think that work would take about 90 days to complete.
Question.
Bless you. Gesundheit.
But remember, it does include the 30-day financial due diligence provision.
Yeah. And if we know before that, then we can probably, with the caveat that if we have it, he has authorization to start the process.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
we'll start right away. We need the resources to do that, so.
One more quick
Yeah.
question. I know that we probably should have a second and start discussing this, but in regards to
Yes, I thought she made it. I thought she made the second. I thought she made the second. Yeah.
in regards to the motion, or to this motion, if it is approved, the study, everything else is done, then that's reported back to the board for further action at that point. So there is no automatic motion or a portion of this that would move it to the tank location or issue the permits for the other one or anything like of the such. It's just a report back to the board on the feasibility of that.
And the cost, because one may be 300,000, one may be 800,000. That would be part of the analysis.
To that point, I don't want to get ahead of it, but because we will come back to you with the cost, a preliminary design of one or two spots right there at that corner, what it might look like, the size and all that. Because that's coming back to you, in the event that we can perform the feasibility study, and then you all will understand the cost and the location, exact location at the tank. You may want to consider item number 10 at that time. You know, at that time you would have both options before you. And so I raise that because depending what happens with 9, we can decide how we take action on 10 or no action on 10, and we bring it back at that juncture.
And I'm not very bright, trustee. So the way I look at this is the nature of the scope of 9 is for a test. That's all it is. It's just a test and how we manage a test for engineering and how we're going to treat our due diligence for that site. It has nothing to do, I mean, it really, the nature of this motion in a vacuum has nothing to do with the location. It's gathering information about a site. That's it. And then that gets brought back to this body. Madam Clerk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any discussion? Anything else?
No.
All right. Okay,
That's my
so
motion.
we have a motion and a second on number 9, right?
Let me just note, if I may, that we did receive written public comment this evening. It was emailed to the board just a little bit before the meeting, and then a hard copy was also handed out at your day at each of your seats.
Trustee Luther?
I got a comment and then some comments and then a couple questions. You've answered some already, but over approximately the past 5 years, and I know for some it's been 20+ years working on this. Countless hours have been invested in planning this Antioch Veterans Memorial. Veterans, residents, donors, volunteers, and board members have all contributed their time, energy, financial support, and trust to bring this project to where it stands today. This has not been a rushed process. It has involved years of discussion, planning, review, approvals, and community engagement. Tonight's discussion is about far more than the location of a memorial. It is about whether commitments made by this village still carry meaning. It is about whether residents can trust that decisions made through a public process will be honored, or whether any decisions can be reopened years later because a different opinion emerges. The consequences of what happens tonight will not end when this meeting adjourns. They will be felt for years to come. People throughout this community are watching. Veterans are watching, donors are watching, residents are watching. Future volunteers and future supporters are watching. The decisions can be revisited years after years of planning, approvals, public meetings, and financial commitments. Then what confidence should residents have in future projects? What confidence should business owners have when considering investment in our community? What confidence should donors have when deciding whether to support the next community initiative? What confidence should anyone have that their time, effort, and trust will not ultimately be disregarded? At some point, leadership requires more than discussion. Leadership requires action. Leadership requires the courage to make a decision and the integrity to stand behind it. A community cannot move forward if every major decision is continually sent back for another study, another review, or another round of debate. When that becomes the norm, progress stalls, opportunities are lost, and public confidence begins to erode. We have seen this pattern before. Too often, important projects become trapped in an endless cycle of studies, delays, and reconsideration. Meanwhile, the community is left waiting, wondering when enough discussion will finally result in action. A village that continually questions its own decisions risks developing a reputation for uncertainty rather than leadership. As elected officials, we all have personal relationships, personal preferences, and personal opinions. That is human nature. But the responsibility of public service requires us to set those things aside and make decisions based on what is best for the entire community. Personal interests should never outweigh public commitments. The Antioch Veterans Memorial stands for service, sacrifice, commitment, duty, and honor. Those are not merely words engraved in stone. They are principles that should guide us tonight. The men and women this memorial is intended to honor understood the importance of keeping commitments, even when doing so was difficult. We should not hold ourselves to a lower standard. The decision before this board is ultimately a question of credibility. If years of work, public approvals, donor commitments, and prior votes can simply be set aside, then what message does that send to every resident and every future partner who wishes to work with this village? If our words and votes do not matter, then why should anyone trust the next promise we make? Tonight is an opportunity to demonstrate that this village honors its commitments, respects the efforts of its residents, and stands behind decisions it has made. I respectfully ask this board to move this project forward, honor the commitments that have been made over the past 4 years, and show this community that leadership is not merely about making promises, it is about keeping them. That being said, this issue has gone on, and it's tearing, and I'll, on our initial speaker earlier, it's tearing this village apart. It's tearing this board apart. It's gotten to the point now, a year after we approved the site plan for this, that we're now looking at other locations again. Why wasn't this done over the last year to look at this site if it was that, if it really was that much of a desire to move it there? We're now at the point where we're ready to break ground, then all of a sudden this site becomes the priority. At the same time, you know, based on what you mentioned earlier, Mayor, about the funds, I agree with you 100% that these should be private funds that fund these testing. But I also disagree about the 90 days, because what you're basically doing is saying for the next 90 days, the AVM is not going to be able to raise a single dollar because everyone's not going to know what we're doing. We're at the point now where we were contacting contractors and trying to get that last $48,000 to $50,000 so this can be done this year. Now we're in a holding pattern. I don't have the names, but I've been told from AVM members that we have, as of the other night, 28 people that have contacted various AVM members and said if we delay this or move this, that they're going to be demanding their refund. Now, whether they actually go through with that or not, I don't know. One of those is a monument. So I have a lot of concerns in regards to delaying it 90 days because the AVM has limited resources, as we all are aware. You've all been sent their bank statements. You're aware of how much money they have. You understand from Deb's comments at the last meeting what we have outstanding, what we have to pay. We've already purchased quite a few items. If we start getting whacked, or the AVM starts getting whacked with requests for refunds, what are we supposed to do if we don't have that money? Is the village going to honor that? Because the village, in my view, entered into a contract a year ago in May when they said that site is approved, that location is approved, the design is approved. The AVM has spent the last year trying to finish up the fundraising for this project to hit nothing but stone and brick walls caused by members of the veteran community who had a difference of opinion. Respectfully, they have every right to have that difference of opinion. Just as the members of the AVM who are veterans have the right to have a difference of opinion to those members. Neither side is wrong. They have a difference of opinion on where they believe it should go. The personalities have won out here. The personalities have gotten in the way of the village progressing, the village honoring its commitments, and now delaying this project at least another 90 days. And my guess, it will go on probably another half a year to a year before anything's done, because after 90 days, you're going to come back and report whether it's buildable or not, and then in turn, what the costs are for that new structure. Then we're going to have a decision and a discussion at this board level about how are we going to spend that additional money or come up with that additional money? Where are we going to get it? How are we going to raise it? That's going to start now. Now you're 90 days. Now we're into September, October. Once again, we lose a whole year of construction time. We can't build. Now we get into next season, and let's say the tank is buildable, and let's say that the cost isn't going to be that tremendous, but the costs are going to go up again. And we're going to have to raise this money. And I've heard a lot of promises. Oh, there's a grant out here we might be able to get. I learned tonight for the first time that a state senator has us down for a grant with the state. I had never been informed of that. As a village trustee, never been told. As a member of the AVM, never been told. Supposedly we're on a list with the state for a grant that, as we all know, those can take 6-7 years, and maybe we don't get a dime of it. We can't base things on a lot of guesstimates and hopes. We're $50,000 away from building that, and it would be done by Veterans Day. But no, we're going to spend $30,000. Well, the village won't spend, but we're going to raise $30,000, spend it on testing for another site, then negotiate and hash this out and get into arguments and fights over that site for another 3 months or 4 months. And then we're going to have to move on and decide to build this thing. And hopefully we have enough money. I think this is the wrong course of action. I feel horrible for those veterans that don't like that facility. I also have a lot of veterans that I've talked to this week that have liked the other position. There's veterans that just don't care where it goes, but they just want it built because they feel we need to have this. That's where I'm at. I'm not a veteran. Never claimed to be. My grandfathers were, but that was it. But I have every damn right to honor veterans. I have every damn right to be on that Antioch Veterans Memorial Committee because I'm on there to help raise money and honor the veterans by building this memorial. Bottom line, the fact I'm not a veteran should have nothing to do with this. But yet that's been spread around and talked about in the, oh, he's not even a veteran. Won't get into the other comments that have been said. Bottom line is it's time. Yes, I agree. It's time for us to take action. And if we have to study this and do this, I respectfully would ask for a shorter period to study it because honestly, it shouldn't take that long. And if there's that much underground over there that we have to study it for 90 days, then that site's not a feasible site. This shouldn't take that long to study. And all that's doing is cutting off the AVM at its kneecaps, saying, you're not going to raise anything all summer. Then we'll get back to this. And then regretfully, I have a feeling what's gonna happen is it's gonna be so costly or unbuildable at that site that we're gonna have to sit there and go, all right, we're gonna build it back at the Brook Memorial Wetland site. And then all of a sudden, the cost is now another 200,000 because we lost more contractors. And we're back in this, and it's just a revolving circle of muck. It's like the chain on the 4th of July. It's just gonna be an oily, icky mess, and people are gonna be fighting for another 2 years. So once again, that's all I'm gonna say about this tonight. I ask the board members to please consider your votes on this. I respect you all, and if you all go a different way, that's great. I hope that this study can be done quickly and gives us some answers. But the bottom line is we need to get this memorial built. The AVM members who have been in this from the beginning, from 5 years ago on, have been working their butts off, and they deserve to continue to work on this project if we do decide to move it. And that's what that's all I'm gonna say. Thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca?
I just wanted to say that I did appreciate everyone's public comments at the last board meeting. I honestly wasn't prepared to hear you all. I really thought we were talking about fundraising, so I did all my research on e-bikes, which was not really what we talked about at all. But I appreciate you all coming up to speak and giving your opinions. I also read through all the arguments against the current location in our board packet. And I'm certainly not a veteran, so I really do respect all of your opinions from all of you and the friends of the veterans and family members who came to speak. Some of you may not know me. My dad was a disabled veteran, and my son is currently serving. He's deployed right now, so he's in the United States Army Infantry. So I'm not a veteran, but I do have an interest in supporting veterans. I'm not opposed to the location of the tank. That's fine with me if that's what the consensus is, but my big concern, and I was prepared to vote no tonight, was I didn't want to spend more taxpayer money on this because we have so many red flags that we've been told by staff that there are two big wells, one of which, if I'm not mistaken, we spent a lot of money on well 6 fixing. We needed access. There's infrastructure, all the things as possible house foundations. So it just, to me, didn't seem reasonable to spend taxpayer money to fund a study that most likely would come back with hurdles and more expense and things. If the consensus of the board, though, is that we want to privately fund this feasibility study and we put short timelines, I would be open to that because, again, I'm not opposed to the site if there's so much, I guess, consensus that that's a great location. But I really want to see it, like Trustee Bluthart said, move forward and move forward quickly. So we either know, yes, this is a go, or no, it's a not go. And then I just wanted to comment on some of the issues. So if it turns out that the tank is not feasible, I read through a lot of the arguments and the petitions and everything. I really did take everything to heart. I want you to know I really did read it all. I've been thinking about this all week since we got the board packet. And I know some of the petitions stated that they wanted to move the location to ensure greater visibility and community engagement. If it turns out that we can't build it at the tank, I think that the current location that it's proposed does give visibility. It's where we end our parades. It's where we have our concert series. We've moved the farmer's market. We've got the new park there. So I understand, again, the desire to have it by the tank, but I don't think we're making it invisible if we keep it in the current location. And there were also some conflicting things in the packet that they wanted some people wanted a quiet and solemn location, but then it was contradicted by it's so busy by the, downtown Toft area and things like that. So it's a little confusing with what exactly are all the benefits with the tank location. But again, I am listening to all of your feedback. And then the other thing about, if we move forward with this tank location, I am concerned that if there is well work and things like that, are we going to have to disassemble, part of the memorial to access these things, which would not be in honor of our veterans to have to take down things. And then the last thing I double checked on, because I was concerned about the comments about the Army Corps of Engineers. I don't want to sign my name on anything illegal. I don't want to lose my law license over this. But from the research I've done, it sounds like it's not always a mandated 100 feet. It really depends on how the wetlands are described. I talked to staff about this, so I don't think we're violating anything. I know that they've looked into this, so I just wanted to let you know that I've done as best as I can for due diligence. So, but the bottom line is, I was prepared to vote no, but if the motion on the floor is that it's not going to be taxpayer funded and we keep quick timelines, I'm not opposed to looking into the, alternative site. And I've heard you and I respect your opinions. So that's where I'm at.
You?
I know that I've been in deep conversation with all my colleagues here on the board over this. I know I've been in deep conversations throughout the community because of this, and I know that we all want to hear a resolution here tonight, which obviously I don't believe we will. Um, What I also like to remind those, as much as Brent wants to throw out that in May, we voted for this resolution. In May, what we voted for was at a 6-0 vote, was going from a circle to an oval. So I never got a chance to vote on the decision on where this was going to go. That decision was already made prior to my arrival on the board. So in May of last year, the vote that I cast was to go from a circle to an oval, to fit the spot that was already designated before me. Now, with that in mind, the decision was brought up because the AVM is about $50,000 short. And when we started talking about where are we going to appropriate municipal funds towards this, then I say I get a say. And with that in mind, my say would be the tank. And what comes to mind is the simple fact that I was present at our Memorial Day service there at the BFW, and I think of, if we were to do a service outside in the public eye, I go, what would be the prime spot? What would be the spot that would actually have us, give us the ability to have people in attendance, open setting, and what I vision is the tank. With that said, though, I'd also like to say that let's at least attempt to go through the review. And I would like Debbie and acknowledge Debbie Renner and the president of the AVM board and her colleagues on the board for all they've accomplished already. And I want to say that I ask that Debbie stay on at the helm of this project through the end. I know that you've heard me say that, just like my colleagues here, we speak about the future of Antioch and the greater vision for our village. And you've heard me say the intention of the memorial is to inspire the next generation, but I also believe we also lost sight of what the memorial truly represents, a memorial that represents the sacrifice made by our veterans. And it's our duty to honor the past and those that served. The village did that once when they honored William E. Brooke with a distinguished place in the heart of town. And when our veterans tell us that they do not want the memorial being disturbed, the park being disturbed that honors William E. Brooks' name, I have an obligation to respect that request. I know that this is a tough decision, and I hope that at the end of this, we come with the resolution that has the AVM, the VFW, and the American Legion come together to get this done. Let us unite in respect for those who have served and keep the promise that we made to them. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Pierce?
Yeah, I've got a few things to say, obviously. I would like to respond to comments made at the last meeting and offer my understanding of the history of the Veterans Memorial Project in Antioch. As the longest-serving trustee currently on the board, I have heard the issue discussed for many years. For a long time, the idea of creating a larger, unified Veterans Memorial was raised at veterans events in general terms. The thought was simple. It would be meaningful for Antioch to have one prominent memorial similar to what other communities have. In the meantime, our community continued to gather places such as the Blue Star Memorial, the monument in front of Village Hall, and near the tank by the village flagpole. The veterans involved were all sincere and committed to honoring the service of others. But for many years, the project did not move forward in any significant way. Debbie Rettner and others eventually began working more formally to advance the effort. After the current mayor was elected to his first term, several long-discussed village projects began moving forward. Much of the progress reflected years of planning and the work of prior boards, while the new board helped bring renewed focus and momentum to those efforts. The board also made a commitment to address the long-standing condition of the downtown area. A new park was planned and funded, and after extensive discussion and planning, the project was approved and plans were finalized. During that process, a group of veterans, including Debbie Rettner, Colonel Paul Heddick, and Jay Joswiak, came before the board and stated they believed the location in the new park had been promised for the memorial. They asked that the board honor that understanding. That meeting included strong disagreement and strong emotion, including what I felt was a passionate yet threatening speech from Colonel Hedrick. As a veteran, a resident, and a village board member, I responded directly and just as passionately because I believed it was important to defend the value of every person's service and to maintain respect for the board's process. At the last meeting, this earlier exchange was raised again. I want to be clear about my position. I am a veteran. Though not a combat veteran, both my wife and I made sacrifices during my service. I believe that anyone who raised their hand and served this country is a veteran. That service should be respected without exception or qualification, something I believe Colonel Paul Hedrick fails to do in both their words and actions. If you're not a combat veteran, you're not a veteran, in his words. One of the strengths of our country is that we each have the right to express our opinions and beliefs. At the same time, public disagreement should not diminish anyone's service or discourage respectful participation in public decisions. Colonel Hedrick, I respect your service and your sacrifices. I also believe all veterans deserve that respect. My concern has always been that disagreement over the location of the memorial should not become personal or divide the very people the memorial is meant to honor. I believe your actions have only worked to build that divide to get what you demand, not what the village and its veterans deserve. And former trustee Joswiak, who wanted me to call him out by name.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to say my piece, Ed.
I know. Let's just keep it general, please.
Please.
All right, order, okay. Attorney.
Guys.
Yeah, let's not, let's not,
Your Honor, I disagree because I was allowed to be personally attacked at the last meeting. I should be allowed to respond. And if
okay, continue.
You don't want a person.
Continue. Okay, guys, let's have, I don't want to have to take a recess for this, but let's keep it as civil as possible, please. I think we've all heard everybody's opinions on this. Let everyone talk last week. I'll let the trustees finish, and then we're going to move on to a vote. Okay. So, okay, go ahead, Scott.
after the village board, and I'll skip the continued personal attacks, after the village board decided not to place the Veterans Memorial in Sequoia Creek Park, members of AVM, including Debbie Rettner, Colonel Hedrick, and Jay Josiak, walked several village-owned properties with the village administrator and others. The group then identified the currently selected property as its preferred location. The village board acted on that recommendation, spent funds to confirm the site was buildable, and moved forward with that location. Shortly afterwards, the AVM group reported that several of them that could no longer work together, and we were told the work of the AVM would continue, but unless the VFW and the American Legion controlled and led the building of the Antioch Veterans Memorial, they would not participate. At some point later, the board was informed that even if they did not agree with the location, it was the VFW's and American Legion's position that it just needed to be built. Since then, AVM has completed its due diligence, raised funds, and begun acquiring the materials and components needed for construction. And they designed those materials based upon the demands of the village. AVM has now reported that the project is ready to move forward. Although the project remains slightly short of its funding goal, the group believes additional donations will come in once construction begins. Unfortunately, the discussion around this project has become divisive. I believe this discussion has driven one goal: to defeat the AVM's control of memorial constructions. Questions have been raised about individuals involved with AVMs. Concerns have been shared with civic organizations, and the support that once appeared settled has become uncertain. In my view, this division has delayed a project that could have already been completed, and I believe it would have been completed by now. More importantly, it has placed veterans and community members on opposite sides of an issue that should unite us. My position tonight is clear. While the tank location is meaningful and appropriate as a memorial area, I believe the future plans of the Skidmore Village complex outweigh the benefits of relocating this memorial to that site. I also believe that being located near the Sequoia Creek Park, it will have more of an impact on the community. The village needs the leadership of the board on this decision, and I believe it should be resolved tonight. Continued delay only prolongs the division among the village, its veterans, and the organizations that support them. Regardless of the final decision, this process has already taken away from what should have been a proud and unifying achievement for Antioch. My hope is that years from now, the conflict will be forgotten, and a child will stand before the memorial with respect and curiosity and pride. I ask respectfully that the board not continue to delay this process. I ask that we vote tonight to continue to move forward and complete the Veterans Memorial in its current location.
Thank you. Trustee Peterson?
Yes. Just briefly, I do want to address trustee Bluthart. I agree with you about the community's opinion of the village board and any decisions we make. Because 25 years ago, that board gave that Mr. Bill Brook, a memorial. And for us to put another memorial on top of it is wrong. And that is the depth of how I feel about this. That what is a memorial? Really, what is it? If 25 years later, somebody's going to come and slap something else on top of it. So we're ruining the integrity of that board. And I believe with all my heart, these veterans came and asked us to consider that. They don't want it on top of another memorial. They want it at Memorial Park. That was named Memorial Park with a tank. Well, it had a cannon from World War I, I believe. I think I'm right on that. And then Claude Lemaire had it changed from that to the tank. And I'm not quite sure the year that happened, but it is the Memorial Park. And these veterans have asked us to do this. I've talked to a lot of community members. Not one person wants it down there on top of the Billbrook wetland. They all want it at the tank. You know, the community, I talk to them all the time. That's what they want. That's what this community wants. So I am in favor of moving it to the tank, looking at what we need to look at, do the engineering, find out what it costs. I'll help raise the money. But I really believe that we should consider this. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, well, wasn't that fun? I'm gonna ask for a vote, and I will say, last meeting I gave a latitude on time and speeches, and part of letting everybody get their feelings and emotions out. And tonight I let the board do that, so we will going forward keep things factual and scientific and dollars and cents. I think everybody in this room knows who feels how about the different opinions. And so with that being said, I'm going to ask for a roll call on number 9, please.
Mason,
Yes.
Luther,
No.
McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce,
No.
Peterson,
Yes.
Board voting yes, motion carries. Item number 10, we will continue that item until the 20,
Pushing the table that.
To the
for
24th.
90 days?
No.
Is that what you-
no, for the 22nd of July.
No, well, I mean, the next one is regarding the
So-
issuing of the permits. That would be after the
Groundbreaking.
90 days, correct?
True, and we don't know exactly that date, and like, what if it went faster? We wouldn't want to table it, so we may not want to table to a date certain. Attorney Vasselli, is there a way to just not take action on that, and then staff would just bring that back when we have the information on the feasibility?
Second meeting in July?
Well, the second meeting in July, by then we need to have the resources to begin the study. So, for instance, what if the study went much faster? We wouldn't want to pick a date 90 days out,
Okay.
right? So is there a way, so either we could take action on it tonight, we could
Correct.
table it to a date certain. Is there a way to not table to a date certain, just not take action on it and bring it? We would just bring it to you when we have the,
If there's no motion called, then it would just kind of not go from there and it would just come back up. Or you could do, I mean, part of the reason it wasn't an arbitrary date to say 7/22. I mean, that was a keystone date because it was a board meeting date. Like it was a set board meeting date. But yes, if there was no motion called, it would just be brought back up by this body.
Okay, so it's the pleasure of the board. When we can set a date certain, or just know that if there isn't a date certain, staff would bring that.
I'd like to make the motion to put it on the agenda of the 22nd then.
Okay.
If the funds aren't there, then that motion goes forward.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah, if the money's not there, then that motion comes to the table.
Yep.
Okay. Move.
Yep.
So you-
Yeah.
It's not
So-
debatable.
So that motion, that item would be moved to the second meeting of July.
You
Do I have a-
second.
do I have a second on that? Second, trustee McNeil. All right.
More comments on that?
Any comment?
doing?
We're gonna move this item, number 10, table it till the July 22nd meeting, which at that point is the deadline, whether the funds are there or not. If the funds aren't there, then we can call this motion to issue the permits for the site over on Orchard. All right. Roll call, please.
Mason,
Wait, let's just clarify. If it's voted no, if I vote no, then it would continue.
If you vote yes, it continues. If
To a
you
date certain.
to a date certain.
If you vote no, then you're not in favor of it, period.
the motion is to table the resolution to July
Oh, yeah,
22nd.
okay, yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce,
Thanks.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, 1 abstention, motion carries. Item 11 is consideration and approval of an ordinance amending section 7.1.5 of the Antioch Village Code regarding the operation of golf carts on streets within the village of Antioch. I'll entertain a motion and a second waiving the second reading.
So move waiving the second reading.
Motion trustee Peterson,
Second.
second trustee McNeil. Comment on this?
Oh, this is not so much germane to this. I almost got killed walking out of the barber shop. We gotta get some better signage for the electric scooters on downtowns. That there's skateboards are prohibited and those things are prohibited.
They don't care. Their parents don't care.
Yeah, I know, Scott, they don't care. But we gotta start saying you're gonna get fined and we gotta start enforcing. Even with the golf carts, the violations, cause someone's gonna get killed.
That the kid on the purple motorbike that this afternoon
I
ended up
know
Main
that.
Street on.
Okay, well, yeah,
Colorblind when it comes to people.
all right, we will, I'll take that comment under consideration and, I'll ask for, roll call, please.
Mason,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce,
Thank-
Peterson,
Yes.
Voting yes, 1 abstention. Administrators report.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. All right, we all know kickoff concerts tomorrow. Thank you to staff for all their hard work in preparing for the event. We'll continue to monitor the weather. We'll send another public update. We're anticipating around 1 or 2 o'clock tomorrow, so please stay tuned.
Yeah.
We'll send a text, to
Send a
the,
text to the board members.
I'm assuming by 12:30, we'll have a clear, between 12 and 1, we'll have a clear direction to send them.
Yeah,
out.
whether it's a go, whether it's delay, or what other options we have, so.
Just so we're all aware, who is making that decision? Is it you, Mayor, and Andrew, or who's?
Us two in consideration heavily with the police, the fire department and the parks department.
Yeah.
And Jim Moran, yeah. And actually the band, the band. Yeah, the band.
Yeah, the mayor too. Let's not forget that.
I guess if they don't show up, we're doing karaoke. So yeah. So we need
Please
these.
come to light.
Yes.
No.
Okay, we losing sound?
Yeah.
2026 road program.
Oh, guys. Hey guys. Hold on, guys. Just
We're almost done.
2026 road program, the pre-con meeting was held with the contractor yesterday. Work's expected to begin on June 22nd. We were cognizant of certain areas near the high school, Chestnut Street, in particular, that will be intentionally delayed so as not to impact the 4th of July parade. The build legislation, we talked about that here at the village board. The board passed a resolution opposing the governor's build proposal, which was preempting all the local municipal zoning control. Just know that at least for now, in the 104th General Assembly, that did not advance out of the spring session. So we will continue to monitor that. Probably not the last we heard of it, but nothing at the moment. On the other hand, micromobility and e-scooter legislation that does take effect on July 1st of 2027. It establishes a statewide framework for regulating e-bikes and micromobility devices. The focus is really on the high-speed, high-powered devices that fall outside of the current state definitions and are largely unregulated by the state. A piece of that, which is begins January 1st of 2027, and that's the riders of e-bikes and e-motos with electric motors exceeding 750 watts and certain gas-powered vehicles, bicycles, capable of traveling over 28 miles per hour. Those devices would be required to have a driver's license, title, registration, and insurance. And then high speed micro mobility devices. So there's like e-scooters and unicycles, e-unicycles, and those types of things are prohibited from operating over 28 miles per hour on roads, bike lanes, sidewalks, and those riders of those micromobility devices must be 16 years old. Our police department continues to pursue an education first campaign, and there are requirements in the legislation for signage as well. So maybe a little bit of clarity. We continue the downtown TIF feasibility study, so just wanted to give a quick update. We're getting close to that end report, but it's not done yet, so that work continues. Illinois Municipal League, September 17th through 19th this year. Registration opens on Monday, June 15th. So Rachel from our office will be sending an email to each of you asking who wants to attend. If you'd like to be registered, we will register you for that event. And then we've got a couple RFQs and RFPs underway. Just wanted to let the board know where we're at. So we have a wastewater treatment plant master plan. That's an RFP/Q that will be published this week. We have a park security RFP that is under legal review that'll be coming out shortly. And then we have a plumbing inspector services. And that RFP is just being finalized by staff and will be coming to Village Attorney Vaselli for review shortly. And then the Taste of Antioch was a Chamber of Commerce event this past weekend, 4 days, Thursday through Sunday. So staff is recapping. We're working right now to get all our notes together. We do an after action report following that festivity, which of course isn't our festival, but we do provide a lot of resources, public works assistance with the setup. We assigned police detail to that event as well. So we're going to gather all of our notes so we can understand what that meant for us in terms of resources. And then the executive director, Barbara Porch of the chamber, did advise from her perspective it was a successful event. Operationally, everything went smoothly. Attendance was slightly down this year. Weather may be a contributing factor. And generally, she received a lot of positive feedback from the attendees of the event. And then finally, I just wanted to note a save the date, which we'll just continue to send out a couple more times. July 17th at Village Hall, we'll be hosting our quarterly meeting. I think we originally sent out a 1 p.m. start time. Now we're looking at a noon start, and we will serve lunch for that quarterly meeting. That concludes my comments, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the administrator, trustee?
Do we know how the chamber did? Any initial numbers or?
I don't have any financial numbers, and I'm not sure if she's historically shared that with us. Yeah.
If you get it, if you find out, let me know.
But what I do know, lower attendance than previous years is what she had said. Yeah. Yeah, lower attendance. Yep.
All right, village clerk. All right, thank you. Trustees.
Well, just the one that we need better communications for public safety issues like the bikes. Because those scooters can bike kits and you can modify them to go 40, 50 miles an hour.
Yeah,
And then the helmet, we got to figure out a way how we can get.
I don't know what the chief put out there last week that took all the heat off me. That's something I had out there, but he put some post out there about e-bikes, and everybody forgot about me for a day or two. Yeah,
I should add that the state legislation does preempt the local, control. So the state law will be uniform.
Oh yeah, the state law. I'm just saying for residents here, just remind people put a helmet on.
Yeah, I think we'll continue the education.
Even skateboards downtown. These kids get older. New kids come in, they don't know.
Yeah.
Any other comments, trustees? Comments?
Mayor?
Prayers for good weather tomorrow? Anything?
Right, agreed. Mayor, I'd like to at this time ask that In our future agenda, we add acknowledgement or a proclamation on behalf of Joseph P. Haddock, who just was awarded his Eagle Scout this past weekend. So if you could please consider that in the near future for me.
Clerk, she'll keep me in line. She'll get it on. She'll get down there for us.
The other thing that comes to mind is as we've had these long extensive meetings, one of the things that we failed to talk about that I would like to see maybe my colleagues here, we did it last year. Scott and Brent and I were in conversation prior to come up with a way to show unity in front of the community after last year's municipal races. And I was hoping if we could consider bringing back the Share the Care initiative that we had for our Thursday night concerts. I actually brought in our faithful boot here that we would go around the public and raise funds on behalf of those 501(c)(3)s that are here in Antioch. At last count, we were what, at 26? 26. Yeah. So.
Thank you. Trustee. All right. Well, thank you for everybody's time this evening. Be safe. More storms might come tonight. And in that note, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion trustee Peterson, second trustee Luthart. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned at 7:57.